Before engines roared across highways. Before traffic lights dictated the rhythm of our cities. There was a time when the arrival of a single automobile could stop an entire town. Asterisk, it is the year 1901. On a narrow street lined with brick buildings, people pause mid-conversation as a mechanical carriage rattles into view. Children tug at their mothers' sleeves. Shopkeepers lean out of their windows. Even the horses seem offended by this loud intruder. Asterisk, the automobile coughs and sputters before settling into a steady clatter. Behind the wheel sits a proud owner, goggles perched awkwardly on his face, gripping the steering lever as though piloting a ship through unknown waters. Asterisk, for centuries, humanity relied on horses, wagons, and sheer endurance. Travel was slow. Journeys were measured not in miles, but in days. Asterisk, but this machine assembled from steel, rubber, and relentless imagination promised something radical. Speed, freedom, possibility. Many laughed at it. Some feared it. A few visionaries saw the future rolling toward them on for thin wheels. Asterisk, no one on that street could have guessed that this noisy invention would soon reshape the world, shrink continents, and redefine how generations would live, work, and dream. Asterisk, the age of old cars had quietly begun. In a modest factory in Detroit, a revolution was being engineered, not with grand speeches, but with wrenches, geese, and relentless persistence. Asterisk, Henry Ford was not the first man to build a car, but he was the first to ask a question. Would change everything? Asterisk, what if ordinary people could afford one? Asterisk, before Ford, automobiles were toys for the wealthy. Hand-built, expensive, rare. Ford imagined something different, a motor car for the masses. The Model T, introduced in 1908, was simple, yet brilliant. Durable enough for rough country roads. Easy enough to repair. Affordable enough that even factory workers dreamed of owning one. Asterisk, but Ford's true genius lay in the moving assembly line. Asterisk, instead of craftsmen building entire cars, each worker repeated a single task. The chassis rolled forward, piece by piece, until a complete automobile emerged. Production time dropped dramatically. Prices fell. Demand exploded. Soon, roads once ruled by hooves echoed with engines instead. Asterisk, families discovered they could visit relatives miles away in a single afternoon. Farmers reached markets faster. Young couples escaped crowded cities for countryside picnics. Asterisk, the automobile was no longer a curiosity. Asterisk, it was becoming a companion, one that would carry hopes, ambitions, and entire generations toward a faster future. By the 1920s, automobiles had evolved beyond practicality. Asterisk, they had become symbols, status, power, sophistication. Outside a sprawling estate, a gleaming Packard reflects the afternoon sun like a mirror. Its chrome accents sparkle. White-wall tires appear almost too clean for the dusty roads. Asterisk, owning such a car was a declaration, a message to the world that you had arrived. Asterisk, the wealthy customized their vehicles with plush interiors, polished wood dashboards, and leather seats. Drivers often wore uniforms. Some cars even featured crystal vases for fresh flowers. Asterisk, but beneath the glamour lay something deeper. Asterisk, cars were reshaping identity. Asterisk, young people embraced newfound independence. Weekend drives replaced formal social visits. Dating changed forever. Privacy now came on four wheels. Asterisk, cities expanded outward as commuting became possible. Asterisk, the automobile was quietly rewriting social rules. Asterisk, yet, even as luxury models dazzled crowds, engineers continued chasing a dream, older than the machine itself. Perfection, faster engines, smoother rides, greater comfort. The car was no longer just transportation. It was becoming an extension of personality, a rolling reflection of who you were and who you hoped to be. When war arrived in the 1940s, factories that once produced family sedans pivoted toward survival. Asterisk, steel was rationed. Rubber was scarce. Automakers answered the call. Civilian production slowed as plants began building military vehicles, jeeps, transport trucks, ambulances. Even private cars joined the effort. Owners conserved fuel, shared rides, and maintained aging vehicles longer than ever before. Asterisk, automobiles became instruments of unity. Asterisk, they carried soldiers to training camps, reunited families during brief leaves, and delivered essential goods across vast distances. Asterisk, back home, children played in driveways while mothers listened anxiously for news on the radio. Inside parked cars. Asterisk, the automobile had transformed again, from symbol of freedom to tool of duty, yet through sacrifice came innovation. Engineers developed stronger engines, better suspensions, and improved reliability. Lessons learned under pressure would soon shape the golden age of motoring, because when peace finally returned, the world would be ready to drive forward once more. When war arrived in the 1940s, factories that once produced family sedans pivoted toward survival. Steel was rationed. Rubber was scarce. Automakers answered the call. Civilian production slowed as plants began building military vehicles, jeeps, transport trucks, ambulances. Even private cars joined the effort. Owners conserved fuel, shared rides, and maintained aging vehicles longer than ever before. Automobiles became instruments of unity. They carried soldiers to training camps, reunited families during brief leaves, and delivered essential goods across vast distances. Back home. Children played in driveways while mothers listened anxiously for news on the radio. Inside parked cars. The automobile had transformed again, from symbol of freedom to tool of duty, yet through sacrifice came innovation. Engineers developed stronger engines, better suspensions, and improved reliability. Lessons learned under pressure would soon shape the golden age of motoring, because when peace finally returned, the world would be ready to drive forward once more. The war was over, optimism returned, and with it came one of the most beloved eras in automotive history. In the 1950s, cars grew larger, brighter, and more expressive. Tail fins sliced through the air. Chrome gleamed beneath neon diner lights. In a quiet suburb. A father loads suitcases into a spacious trunk while children argue over window seats. The family car is more than transportation. It is a promise. Road trips become rituals. Laughter echoing through open windows, maps unfolding across laps, roadside motels welcoming weary travelers. Highways stretch farther each year, stitching together cities like never before. Teenagers borrow the car for first dates. Drive-in theaters fill at dusk. Rock and roll hums from dashboard radios for the first time. Mobility feels effortless. The automobile is no longer adapting to society. Society is adapting to the automobile. Entire lifestyles now orbit around 4 dependable wheels. And in countless photo albums. These cars would later appear, parked proudly behind smiling families, silent witnesses to an age of confidence and boundless possibility. By the 1960s, the automobile had found a new voice. It was louder, bolder, unapologetic. Muscle cars thundered onto the scene with engines that seemed barely containable. The ground trembled as Mustangs and Camaros devoured miles of asphalt. 4. Young drivers. These machines represented independence and sometimes defiance. The car became a stage where identity was performed. Custom paint jobs, racing stripes, roaring exhaust. Every detail mattered. America and much of the world was changing rapidly. Movements demanded freedom. Music challenged tradition. And the automobile mirrored that restless energy. Late-night drives turned into philosophical conversations. Highways became places to chase dreams or outrun expectations. Yet, beneath the horsepower, lay a timeless truth. Cars were never just machines. They were emotional landscapes, spaces where friendships formed, hearts broke, and futures were imagined beneath endless skies. As the sun dipped below the horizon. One thing became clear. The automobile was no longer simply carrying people forward. It was carrying culture itself. Then came the 1970s, and with it, uncertainty. Fuel shortages forced drivers into long, impatient lines. Gas stations posted handwritten signs. No fuel today. Suddenly. The limitless freedom once promised by automobiles felt fragile. Manufacturers pivoted quickly, designing smaller, more efficient vehicles. Drivers learned restraint. Speed gave way to conservation. But crises often inspire creativity. Engineers explored safer designs, better fuel economy, and smarter engineering. The relationship between humans and cars matured, no longer taken for granted. Mobility became something to protect. Yet, even in those tense moments, engines idling, radios murmuring, news updates, the automobile remained a shared experience. Strangers talked while waiting. Communities adapted. And slowly, innovation steered the industry toward a more sustainable future. Old cars once symbolized abundance. Now they reminded people of responsibility. The road ahead would require balance between power and prudence, progress and preservation. Decades passed. Technology accelerated. Cars became quieter, safer, smarter, Yet something unexpected happened. People began looking back. Asterisk inside a pristine showroom. A collector runs a soft cloth across the curved fender of a fully restored classic. The paint glows as if untouched by time. Asterisk why preserve these machines? Because old cars are more than metal. They are memory made visible. Asterisk each scratch tells a story. Each engine note echoes another era. Asterisk collectors hunt tirelessly for original parts, mechanics, resurrect engines that slept for decades. Asterisk when a restored car finally starts, the sound feels almost like a heartbeat returning. Asterisk car shows gather generations together, grandparents reminiscing, children marveling. Asterisk in those moments, the automobile becomes a bridge across time. Proof that progress does not erase the past. It carries it forward. Asterisk old cars remind us where we've been and how far we've traveled.
Morning light spills across a quiet coastal highway. Two cars glide side by side. One hums softly, an electric vision of the future. The other rumbles gently, a classic survivor from another century. Different eras. Same road. The story of old cars is not just about machines. It is about humanity's endless desire to move forward. From sputtering engines to silent motors, from dusty trails to intelligent highways, automobiles have carried our ambitions across generations. They have witnessed first kisses and final goodbyes. Escapes and homecomings. Beginnings and reinventions. And perhaps that is their greatest legacy. Old cars remind us that progress is a journey, one built upon courage, experimentation, and imagination. As long as roads stretch toward the horizon, the spirit that created those early machines will endure. Because every modern vehicle carries a piece of the past within it. So the next time you see an old car, listen closely. You might just hear history whispering through the engine, inviting you, as it always has, to keep driving toward tomorrow.